The mind architect, engineering the mind, sketching the future.
Welcome back. So, in our last module, we laid down a hard truth. Your attitude? That's the foundation for your entire life. But, ask any architect, and they'll tell you a foundation without a structure is just a slab of concrete. It's a start for sure, but it's not a home. To go from that solid foundation to a high-performance reality, we've got to build the framework.
So here's our blueprint for today. First, we'll talk about why a foundation just isn't enough. Then, we're going to tear down the whole myth of willpower. After that, we get technical with the Habit Loop Schematic. From there, we'll get practical and talk about redesigning your system, and we'll wrap up with your first big task, your own system audit.
Okay, so you've laid that foundation with the right attitude. That's huge. But how do you actually turn all that potential into real, tangible results? Well, that's where the structure comes in. I want you to think of your attitude like your computer's operating system. And your habits? They're the automated scripts that are just running in the background, executing commands every single second without you even thinking about it. They are the gears of your daily life. And today, we are going to take them apart piece by piece.
Now, how do most people try to change their lives? It's almost always through brute force, right? They just try to power through everything, relying on this thing they call willpower. But as we're about to see, that's kind of like trying to build a skyscraper with a battery-powered drill. It's just not going to work.
Let's just look at the contrast here. In the world of mental engineering, willpower is a finite fuel source. It's a battery that starts draining the second you face stress, or hunger, or fatigue. You absolutely cannot build a lasting structure on a battery that dies every 8 hours. A system design, though, that's different. It's automated, it's efficient, and it's consistent because it runs on pre-installed blueprints.
And here's why. Your brain is already programmed with what we call neural blueprints. These are these deeply etched pathways in your gray matter. They're repetitive loops that run without your conscious permission. You don't consciously decide to check your phone when you're bored or reach for something sugary when you're stressed. Your system is just executing a pre-installed script.
So this is the crucial point, right here. To change the output of your life, you do not need more effort. You don't need more force. You definitely don't need more willpower. What you need is a better design.
So how is a habit actually built? Let's pop the hood and look at the schematic. To re-engineer any habit, you have to understand its technical drawing first. And it turns out every single habit you have follows a simple 3-stage schematic. Stage 1 is the trigger. This is some kind of signal, either from your environment or from inside you. Think of it like a sensor that tells your brain, okay, start the script. It could be a time of day, a specific place, or even an emotion. It's the starting gun. Stage 2 is the action. This is the routine itself, the behavior you actually do. And you really need to hear this, because this is where most people waste all their energy trying to stop the action with sheer resistance. This is absolutely the wrong target.
And then finally, stage 3, the payload. This is the reward. It's that little shot of dopamine, or the relief from stress, or that feeling of satisfaction. And what's so important to get is that your brain doesn't care if a habit is good or bad. It only cares that the payload was delivered. That's what reinforces the loop for next time.
So when you put it all together, you get this constant loop that's always running. The sensor gets activated by a trigger, the script runs as an action, and then the reward is delivered as the payload. This loop is going 24/7 for every single habit you have.
And here it is. This is the secret of cognitive engineering, the whole process of designing your own mental systems. If you don't like the output, you don't fight the action, you redesign the trigger. See, you're not lazy or weak-willed. Your system is just currently optimized for the wrong results. If that sensor gets tripped, the script is going to run. So to stop the script, you have to move the sensor. All right, that's enough theory. How does this actually work in the real world? Let's run a quick diagnostic on a really common system error and see how an architect would solve it.
Okay, here's a classic system error. You have a goal, you want to read more. But what happens? You end up scrolling on your phone in bed for an hour. Let's break it down. The bed has become the trigger for scrolling. The scrolling itself is the action. And that mindless distraction, that's the payoff your brain's craving. Now, an architect doesn't just try harder not to scroll. No way. They redesign the environment. So step 1, identify the trigger. The bed is associated with your phone. Step 2, remove that trigger. Move your phone to another room completely. Step 3, install a new, better trigger. Put a book right on your pillow. See?
you are engineering a totally new outcome. The whole goal here is simple, really. It's to make success the easiest possible option. You're designing a system where your desired outcome is the default setting, not something you have to constantly struggle for.
Okay, now it's your turn to pick up the tools. This week, your assignment is to become the architect of your own mind. It's time to perform a system audit.
You know, a system audit is really about a fundamental mental shift. It's about moving away from a fixed mindset, the one that says, oh, I'm just lazy or I just lack discipline. And it's about moving towards a growth mindset. A growth mindset understands that your abilities can change. It says, my process is flawed and I can redesign it for a better result.
So I'm going to leave you with this question. I want you to identify one system error in your day, one habit that's putting a crack in your foundation. And don't you dare try to kill it with willpower. Instead, find the trigger and redesign it. Always remember this. Engineering the mind requires the precision of a pen, not the force of a hammer. Be a designer, not a demolisher.
We are just getting started building this internal structure of yours, so make sure you're subscribed. You do not want to miss the next module. Until then, stay focused, stay disciplined, and rise with purpose.